Alright, I'm Russell Fagan, aka Sinister Rifleman. I'm here at the 2019 High Desert 3-Gun Championship with InRange patron Jay. We were talking a little bit before the match started about your background, your history, and what got you into this.
So, for this match in particular, was what really drove me to try to really succeed in physical therapy. Back in April of 2017, I was diagnosed with cancer, and I was told by the doctor that I would suffer little to no long-term side effects. And every single one of those side effects I have suffered, which was really a bummer, because a little bit about myself. During my my cancer diagnosis, I was actually I was serving in the Army Reserve. On top of that, I was in basically the tail end of a police department job application. I was basically going into the last interview, and then after that I would have gone to a medical and psychological evaluation. I've done my background, I've done my physical tests, I've done the written tests, I've done 2 interviews prior to that. So that was, really a big bummer. And after the surgery, I was in bed for almost a year. After that, I was a cripple for almost another year. And I had to go to physical therapy, but I didn't try. I just didn't. I just went. It was a chore until I joined the Discord, and then all the talk about competing, and that really got me thinking of, hey, I should really try this, and if I could do it, it would be a big confidence boost.
Yeah, having practical competitions to go to every week or every month tends to give people something to work towards, and it sounds like that's what it did for you.
Yeah, definitely.
So you started off in what form of competition?
So I actually signed up for this competition, and then leading up month ahead, and leading up to it, I was like, this is really serious. I should do something about it. So I really started hard, try to get better in physical therapy. And then I started doing a USPSA. And prior to this competition, I did USPSA almost every weekend for a little more than a month and a half.
And you told me your physical therapist asked you what you needed to do at these matches to work on your physical therapy to maybe help get you prepared for it better.
Yes, so he was really mad at me when I wasn't trying and just showing up and going through the motions. But then when I told him, I really want to get better now, I really want to work on everything, we started hitting every single area that was an issue for me. Mainly my leg, where the cancer was and where the radiation therapy was applied. But then he also worked out my shoulders, which I had pretty bad impingement. We worked it out where my range of motion now is almost normal. My back, which had bone spurs and a disc bulge, we worked on that, strengthening up my lower back. And now it's it hurts, but it's not crippling.
You're out here doing Armored Trooper with the rest of us. Does your doctor know you're doing that?
He actually does. I right before this, not this past Friday, but the Friday before, I had a pain procedure done in my abdomen to sever my sciatica nerve so that I actually don't feel anything in my leg, which is great because I don't feel pain.
Wow. Well, I definitely appreciate your story and hope you keep recovering, and it's nice to see events like this and competition shooting in general driving someone like yourself to better themselves and get back into good physical condition and stay operational.
Thank you so much for actually having me out here.
This stage begins with a 10-round continuous mag dump on a target at 50 yards. Each hit is a bonus. The shooter then moves on to engage 2 slug targets with 2 hits each at about 75 yards. For some reason, my slugs aren't feeding into the chamber unless I pump it harder than normal. The shooter then transitions to bird shot to engage a number of shotgun targets in 2 different shooting areas. This Texas Star has 2 hardcover steel targets on either side of it, making it so the shooter cannot engage the plates unless they are at the top or the bottom. On the previous 2 stages, the square knockdown targets were for shotgun bird shot. On this stage, they were for pistol or PCC.
Oh shit!
Because I engaged those targets with the wrong firearm, each target cost me a procedural penalty. Engaging the flying clays through these angled firing ports is a bit more challenging than it would be normally, but I am able to successfully engage all of them.
PCC.
All the knockdown targets have to fall. Static plates require 2 hits each.
Spinner and 1 knockdown left.
I don't bother reloading my PCC because there's plenty of ammo left in the magazine. I'm able to rotate the spinner in one engagement. But then I forget to engage the knockdown target and start to move on before doing so. Fortunately, coaching is allowed at this match. At the end of this engagement sequence is a neat target that you shoot the leg out of and then have to hit the paper as it falls. Time to transition to my real rifle and engage the remaining targets on the stage. The activator here sets off a bobber target and a swinger. Unfortunately, I underestimate the holdover necessary engaging the bobber and tag the very top edge of the no-shoot below it. All the static steel targets in this area require 2 hits each.
1, 2.
The targets in this area were relatively small plates from 100 to 300-ish yards.
1, 2. Are you ready? Stand by. Safety. High. 1, 2, 1. Come on, you bitch. To the right. 2. Come on. Good. Good. Got it.
Double kill! Double kill!
Got it. I saw a chip. There you go. Just popper. Just poppers? Yep. Play. Reload. Hold. Next hold. Got it. One more. Engage it. Got it. Come to the middle hole. Middle hole. 2. Come to this window. 2 knockdowns with static and spin. 2. Over. Over! Hit low. All around it. Over! Stop. Over. Over. Paper. Dump it. 165, doing good. Seconds left. Move your ass. Let's go. Engage him. Hit. 241. 243. Go to the next one. 1. Time. 2. Go to the left one, far left one. 2 on it. 2 on it. I'll give you that one. Time. 1. 2. You're finished. Then let's go clear.
All right, you just watched stage 4, our third stage of High Desert 3-Gun 2019. I'm Russell Fagan, aka Sinister Rifleman, and I'm here with Joe, Jorge, Jay, and Austin. So, this was our last stage of day 1 of the match, and the interesting thing that you won't see on the video is because of the weather conditions that occurred during our second stage, a number of range personnel and the other squads left the range, which would have put us in a bad spot for a number of stages to complete on the second day of the match, having shot only 2. So fortunately our group is pretty hardcore and elected to push through, and ended up not even being a big deal with the weather because it cleared out not long after arriving at our third stage of the day. So you may have seen this stage had a machine gun provided by Aero Precision. You had to do a continuous 10-round magazine dump into a target, and every hit on it was -5 seconds. So how'd the machine gun portion work out for you guys?
I thought it went pretty good. It recoiled markedly more than I expected, having shot M4s and M16s before.
To be fair, it was a shorty, like it looked like 11.5 inch or something.
It was the first time I'd shot an AR that short full auto, and the cyclic rate was markedly higher than anything I had shot before.
How many hits did you get?
I got 2, and I believe 3 was high on the stage, which you got.
Yeah.
Similar. I don't have military experience, but I've shot quite a bit of full auto stuff, and that little thing was a beast. And that's something that you can't really appreciate on camera. I may have gotten 1 or 2 hits, 2 if I'm lucky. It was fun though. It's a good way to make money and noise.
So the rule being that you had to do a continuous mag dump made me have to recall how I handle machine guns doing just stupid stuff for fun videos for Instagram and disregard all other practical training with machine guns. So fortunately that paid off for me because I've done a bunch of stupid stuff for Instagram with machine guns doing long continuous bursts, and I think I had the high score of 3 hits out of the match from what they had told me. So it worked out well for me. How'd it work out for you, Jay?
I'm not even sure if I hit the target. I mean, due to the fact that you cannot release the trigger, or else I think it wouldn't have counted, even if you hit anything.
Oh, I released the trigger. I shot 2 bursts.
Right, which nullified any bonuses.
Yeah.
I think you did hit it, but your bonus was nullified by
no bonus for you. Oof.
Yeah, because due to the fact that you had to continuously hold onto the trigger, instead of giving controlled burst, it was not controlled. So to me, it was just kind of like an experience. I've shot full autos before, and it was just another, hey, look, it's 10 rounds, or okay, move on.
All right, Austin.
I don't know. I honestly didn't think it was that harsh of a recoil. But still, I mean, I only got, what, 1 or 2 hits? So, yeah.
You're also 2 men wide.
Apparently, yeah. But yeah, it was, I thought it was, I was expecting it to be less controllable than it was.
So, I mean, this is the kind of interesting thing matches do to incorporate sponsors into stages so that people get experience with their products, and it makes for an interesting talking point. Now, the rest of the stage, I think, went the roughest for us out of all the stages we shot as a group. I think everyone made a lot of mistakes on this one. I made some mistakes. My mistake on this one was on the previous stages, square steel targets had been designated as shot targets. On this one, they switched it up. And I made a stupid mental error of forgetting about that by the time I was up and shooting, and I tagged 2 of the square targets with shot, turning those into failure to engage penalties. They should have been pistol or PCC targets. So, like for me, the mental process here is that, you know, the longer you're on the range, the longer you wait around, the harder it is to stay mentally in tune with what you're supposed to do. And also, honestly, managing filming for the channel and coaching some of our less experienced people through the stages makes it hard to focus on your own stage plan. I know that was the case for some of you guys too, helping some of them through and prepping their gear and making sure their guns were staged and all that sort of thing. So when it's your turn to shoot, you can't perform your best because your mental energy is divided. So that was my mistake on the stage. I did finish well under par, but those penalties unfortunately cost me on this. And I did tag the edge of one of the no-shoots. The wobbler target was behind with rifle at the end. Using a new offset red dot at 45 degrees, I used that to engage those targets, and I was just a little off on my holdover while engaging the mover. So how'd it work out for you guys?
I timed out at the end. I had a miscommunication with the RO where I believed he said that I had shot all of the targets, and then at the end, when I went to save my rifle and drop the mag, he told me that I had to shoot 1 more, and before I was able to shoot it again, I was timed out. And I grew up playing sports, and that's part of sports, is sometimes either you or the referee misses things, and I found it best not to argue with them, just to move on, because the worst way to get calls in your favor later is to piss somebody off and argue with them. And these are supposed to be fun. You're not supposed to get bent out of shape and angry. And I try to embody that when I shoot matches.
And for people that may come from like a more serious handgun competition background where stages are 20 to 30 seconds tops, like getting that one failure to engage penalty would be a killer for them. But on a 250-second stage, like putting it in perspective, the plus 15 really isn't as big of a deal.
No, it's a much smaller percentage.
You don't want it, but you're like, I can deal with it.
Right.
Oh, geez, where to begin?
We don't need to rehash all your sins. We can just go over the highlights.
Yeah, so real quick, again, something you just have to experience is just the whole armored trooper experience, and just the fatigue that puts on your mind and body. This was our final stage of the day. It was we started like 6:30, 7 p.m. whereabouts.
It was later in the night.
Yeah, and by this point I was pretty tired. Additionally, your rifle had to start slung, so I had my rifle on me as well as my shotgun. So I think I short-stroked a few times with the 590M. We may have also had a magazine issue there, so I had multiple misfeeds. I used some colorful language. Hopefully it'll be just censored out. And unlike what he just said, I was bent out of shape and angry. Really just at the equipment. I have this infamous history of equipment failures holding me back during matches, and it just seemed like another one of those episodes.
You do have a 1 stat in luck.
All the points in int and charisma, and nothing in luck. You don't need it. So, well, I guess you do. Anyway, it was pretty frustrating. By the time I got to the final rifle targets, I was just huffing and puffing, and just the physical fatigue of carrying all my equipment to every stage, I think helped me do the short stroke, slow me down to get the rifle targets, and I timed out while engaging rifle targets. So I was hoping not to have that level of suck at this match, but dumpster fires happen, and I will say this: the camaraderie of the squad helping to build me back up, and just try to instill a positive mental attitude for the next stages. I do appreciate that, guys. That was awesome.
And it's really hard to understand if you haven't done this of how much of this game is mental. They might look at it and just go, "Oh, it's just shooting." Well, the shooting is in some ways the easy part compared to knowing the most efficient way to engage everything on the stage and keeping it straight in your head when you're engaging a total of 70 to 90 targets on a lot of these stages. So don't underestimate the difficulty on the mental side of these events. Jay.
So as a new shooter and being fatigued throughout the day, like what you see is the stages being shot, but what you don't see is the tracking between the stages, the reset between the shooters. And it's a team effort. Everybody goes up, resets, everybody comes back, new shooter goes. So at the end of the day, everybody was tired. I was really tired. I was fatigued, really flustered, and I timed out at the end. I didn't even get up the hill to engage the last long-range target. For me, like Russell has said, the changing in the shape of the target for the designated weapon, the firearm, that really threw me off. And the fact that at that point I was tired, I was fatigued, my brain just wasn't really thinking anymore. I don't even think I stage planned. I kind of just followed whoever went ahead of me and did what they did. And the RO basically had to drag me through the stage again, telling me left, right, you're missing this one, or come back, get this one, and that ended me timing out.
Now, an interesting data point, we looked at your, a step meter or something, and we figured out we actually walked an average of 7 to 8 miles between moving from stage to stage and resetting and picking up steel. And shooting these stages really isn't the fatiguing part of this event. It's setting the stages, making sure all the targets are reset, and that sort of thing. Honestly, I felt more tired at the end of the day at this match than I did at the end of shooting Desert Brutality all in one day not too long ago. At Desert Brutality, we don't have much reset. This match, there's a lot of reset, and it's fun shooting at a lot of targets, but that comes at a cost of the shooters have to be on their game, resetting everything, and it also requires you to manage your own time more between resetting, restaging your guns and gear to be ready for the next stage, so when you do move on to the next one, you're ready to go, and then you're not trying to reload everything when you're on the next one. So, Austin.
At this point, I guess between stage 1 and 2, I switched my dump pouch to use that as kind of the backup shell holder for the broken shell caddy. This stage, if I remember correctly, had 20-some birdshot targets.
Thereabouts, yeah.
Yeah, so it greatly exceeded my capacity to easily access birdshot. And there's also slug targets, again, relatively unpracticed on the shotgun. So I struggled both with the slug targets and with the clays. And then, the up-close birdshot was on steel was relatively fun to shoot, if nothing else. And then when it came to the rifle, again, the 4 targets you engage them at the very end from a kind of a rooftop prop with the rifle touching the rooftop, and there were 4 steel targets, 2 on the left of like a rock and 2 on the right of the rock or something like that. And I just timed out trying to engage and make effective hits, but
I think sometimes using suboptimal gear like a red dot on long-range targets when you're an experienced shooter really hones your skills. I think it forces you to refocus your fundamentals and remember how to shoot and go through each step because you're not using optimal gear, and you really have to work to juice everything you can out of that subpar equipment.
I think it was this stage also. It could have been the second stage that we shot as well. Going through, I had to do a mag change on the G36, and I brought my right hand up, tried to drop the mag like an AR, and kind of like had a mental moment of panic, and realized I was not shooting an AR, and that was kind of my breaking point of maybe in this match I should switch to an AR that I have the variable power optic on, and that I was lugging around the entire day but not shooting. So.
But you learned some stuff using your G36 that you might not have found out in another environment other than using it in a difficult match like this.
Oh yeah, absolutely. For me, it was more of I need more practice on it and more training on it before I should actually bring it out to a match. It also kind of brings up the whole theory that another data point to support the theory that the AR-15 is the superior weapon system.
All right. Well, I think that wraps it up for Stage 4 of High Desert 3-Gun 2019. Thank you for watching. Come back again for more match coverage of High Desert 3-Gun.